What is up, Grandstand Bettors? Welcome into Two Goals, One Puck, our free sports betting show here on YouTube each and every Tuesday. Welcome on in. Hope you are having a great Tuesday afternoon. I know I am. But let's get right to it. It's myself moving forward with this show from here on out. Fish out of Grandstand Bettors. No more on Tuesday. So you will just see myself moving forward, maybe some special guests in the future. But welcome on in, friends. What's up, sports betting chick? A six-pack parlay is correct. We have six picks for you today, and we're ready to give out some winners, but more importantly, have some fun in these short segment shows for you. So we have six picks for you this evening, and here is how it works. You're going to place one unit on each of these bets, and then you're going to throw about a quarter of a unit on the entire parlay itself. Also, please give your best bets for the night in the comments. Share with others. But also, if you're looking for a game that maybe you don't have an idea of which way you want to go, that we haven't maybe talked about, please feel free to put those in the chat as well. We're going to give you our opinion at the end on any questions you may have, or if there's a lean that you might want to know about, or a game we haven't mentioned, let us know in the chat. We definitely will go over that for you and give you our best opinion. A couple housekeeping items before we get into our six-pack parlay here. We are literally going to be available on BetStamp with all of our picks. So make sure you're on BetStamp. You check out Grandstand Bettors, follow us, and as well, go over to Patreon and grandstandbettors.com. Become part of our family. Start living that grandstand life. I don't know what you're doing here out listening to these guys who are giving away bad picks day in and day out. So without further ado, let's get into some good picks in our six-pack parlay. And we have three NBA props that we're going to start off with. First one that I'm going to look at is in the Pelicans and the Jazz matchup. Good evening now. Welcome in, sir. So this first pick in this six-pack parlay, Pelicans Jazz matchup. New Orleans, they're on a 7-game win streak right now. They've been getting help from all over the floor. McCollum has looked very good this season. Same with Ingram and Zion. I'm actually going to look at Valanciunas here in this one, if I said that right. Valanciunas. I think I'm saying it as best as I can. Cut me a break, guys, if I said it wrong. The Jazz, they've been phenomenal at guarding around the floor this season with very quick guards, and they're 13th in the league in opponent effective field goal percentage. Now, where the Jazz have struggled is through defending down low. They are dead last, giving up points in the paint with 56.1 points per game on the season. Now, with guys like Zion, Ingram, and McCollum all able to slash to the hoop and beat their defenders, the Jazz are going to need to pull guys in to the paint to help protect the rim against those guys, which is going to open up easy offensive dump-offs to Valanciunas for around the rim, easy buckets. So our first pick here, an NBA prop, one of three we have in this six-pack parlay. We're going to take Valanciunas over 14.5 points. To be honest, we actually got it at 12.5 points, but it quickly jumped up to 14.5. So go take that. I think it's still at 14.5. Hopefully it didn't go up any higher. The second NBA prop bet that we're looking at in this parlay is going to be in the Suns matchup, who are traveling to take on the Houston Rockets in this one. They desperately need a win as they are in the middle of a 4-game losing streak, and they're going to be without Devin Booker in this game tonight. Their defense has been atrocious in those last 4 games, giving up 125 points in all those contests. And as we mentioned, with Booker out for this game, someone's going to need to step up on offense for this team. We think that guy is Mikal Bridges. Over the course of the season, he is averaging 15.8 points per game, and he's averaging the most minutes per game of any player on the Suns this season. He's also shooting 43% from three-point land, and in this matchup, that favors him a lot because the Rockets, they're giving up the second most threes per game, and they are 25th in the league in opponent three-point percentage. Now, last game without Booker, we saw Bridges put up 23 shots and 13 three-pointers en route to a 27-point night for the Suns. I don't see that changing in this matchup, especially with the Suns looking to break that losing streak and going up against the 6th worst defense in the league. So with our second pick of our six-pack parlay, we're going to take Mikal Bridges over 17.5 points. Again, we have one more NBA prop bet here before we move on to some hockey and some college basketball. We had I can't say it. We had Valanciunas over 14.5 points. We had Bridges over 17.5 points. And now we're sitting here in our third pick in the NBA, and we're going to look at a rebound prop. And it's on the late night, Lakers-Celtics. This one's tipping off at, I think, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Celtics, they have had a much better season so far than the Lakers. They're sitting at 21-7, while the Lakers have yet to crack that 500 mark. And to be honest with you, I love the fact that LeBron's not winning and he's having to lose in season. That's neither here nor there. Let me know in the comments who you think is going to win this game. The Celtics are favored in this one, but honestly, I'm going to tell you, I would stay away from this one. Everyone knows what the Lakers are capable of doing, and they can flip that switch, it seems like, at any moment. I do think it's a suspect line here. I do think the Lakers may be covered tonight, but that isn't our pick. We're looking at a prop bet. Listen, this one we think we have an edge on the Westbrook rebounds. Of course, over the course of the season, he is averaging 6 rebounds per game, and he had 7 or more rebounds in 4 of the last 6 games. Now, with him taking a step back from the scoring role on this team, he has been hounding the boards a lot, and with Davis tied up under the hoop, with Horford in this one, he should have a lot of opportunities to hit the over in his rebounds. In addition, the Celtics do have the 5th least rebounds per game this season. They're 23rd in total rebound percentage on the season, and Boston also drops 6% actually shooting from the field when they play on the road versus home. Statistically, there's just going to be a lot more rebound opportunities for this Laker team. So to round out our third and final NBA player prop in this 6-pack parlay, we're going to take Russell Westbrook over 6.5 rebounds. And you can actually get that one at some plus money. And if you actually are looking, and you should be doing this at different sports books, you can actually find it at 5.5, a little juice. I would definitely take the 5.5, but if you want a little value, want a little plus money action, take it at 6.5 rebounds. Now, that does it for the pro basketball. I'm not a huge pro basketball, and it's a small slate, but we did find some edges there. We are going to look at the NHL, and we're going to look at the Edmonton Oilers over the, versus the Nashville Predators in this one. Should be a good one tonight, guys. The Oilers and Predators are two teams that for the entire season, for the rest of the season, they are literally going to be fighting for a playoff spot. Both of these teams, they're coming off a loss, and they have just been mediocre in their last 10 games, quite honestly. The difference between really these two teams, in our opinion, is that the Oilers are an offensive-minded first team with McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman, and they're putting up 3.55 goals per game, which is nearly top 5 in the league. Now, the Predators, they're not as offensive-minded. They are a defensive-minded team first with Sissons, Ekholm, and Saros in the net. But they're also still giving up 3 goals per game, which is a little bad for that defensive squad. They need to get it together and not give up as many goals. Now, will they tonight? That's the question. The Oilers do have the number 1 power play unit in the NHL, and that should come into play tonight as both of these teams are going to play on the second night of a back-to-back. As we mentioned, they both lost last night in close ones. Minnesota edged out the Edmonton Oilers 2-1, and the St. Louis Blues edged out the Nashville Predators 1-0 in a shootout. In a penalty shootout, really. Nashville is 11th worst in penalty minutes given up per game. So that number 1 power play unit should be on the ice a lot tonight. Also, because of the back-to-back games, look for both number 1 netminders who played last night to get some rest tonight. That means Kevin Lanikin is going to be most likely going in goal for the Predators, who although has been decent for the better part of the season, quite honestly, he's played well. He has only started 6 games in this season. When he does play teams with better offenses in the league, for example, the Avs and the Blue Jackets, he's given up around 5 goals per game. The Oilers, they had Skinner in the goal last night, and they're most likely going to turn to Jack Campbell tonight in this one. To be honest, him and Skinner have really been sharing the net all season, but Campbell is by far the worst goalie. He's 7-6 on the year, and he has a 4.12 goal against average with only an .872 save percentage. He's given up 3 goals in 11 of 13 games on the season. Now, with both teams on their second leg of a back-to-back here, and the Predators even having to play in that shootout last night, these teams' defenses are going to be tired. We expect to see both of these backup goalies struggle in this one. So our 4th pick in this 6-pack parlay tonight is going to be the Edmonton Oilers and the Nashville Predators over 6.5 goals. Memphis and Alabama game. I love it, Al. I love it. We'll get to that in just a moment. Yeah, we'll take a look at that for sure. And speaking of college basketball, a great segue there, a fantastic segue. We are going to talk a little college basketball, and this one is actually maybe not on your radar. It's one that I looked at a lot today, and I like it, although I do think the majority of people are going to be on the other side of myself. So what we're looking at in college basketball tonight is UMass Lowell versus Rhode Island. This is at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Right now, UMass, they are 11-1 on the season. Their only loss coming to Rutgers early on, I think it was their 3rd game, somewhere around like the 2nd week in November. Now, UMass is putting up 77 points per game, which is top 50 in the nation, and they're doing it with depth. Every person on this squad averages more than 10 minutes played per game, even though Hammond is their best guard by far, and he's the leading scorer on the team. The difference between him and their least average score on the team is only actually 9 points. This means that every single person on UMass is contributing to this offense, and honestly, it is a model of how you play as a team. Now, they're going to travel to Rhode Island to take on the Rams, who are having a rough season, to say the least. They are 3-7, but they're coming off a nice win against Army. Unlike UMass Lowell, just so it's not confused with University of Massachusetts, they're not a very sound Rhode Island offensive team. They actually rank 284 in the nation in points per game, but they are much better defensively, as they are only giving up 66 points per game on the season. Now, Ishmael Leggett is their leading scorer, and he is going to be the guy that they go to when they need to score, as he's hitting nearly 40% from 3. But he's the only person that can shoot from the outside. As Rhode Island's team, listen to this, he shoots 40%, Leggett does, and the team shoots less than 27%, or right around 27%, which is bottom of college basketball. And that's probably not going to change tonight, because UMass Lowell holds opponents under 30% on the season from beyond the arc. Now, although the Rams are defensively a better team, with the lack of options that they have on the offensive side of the ball, it's hard for us to actually look at this one in this game and figure out where the points will come from outside Leggett and Freeman's points. Now, so we're going to look at UMass Lowell here with our 4th leg of our 6-pack, our 5th leg of our 6-pack parlay. We are going to take UMass Lowell over 1.5 points against Rhode Island. And quite honestly, I do think that this one is probably going to be very close, and I think everybody's going to go against us here. I'm going to take a look at the spread as we're speaking, and let me see if I can find it real quick. Let's see if it moved. It has not moved. In fact, the Rhode Island, I think when it closes, that game, by the way, is at 7 o'clock. It's in 30 minutes. I think when Rhode Island, they're going to end up closing it at a 1-point favorite. So essentially a pick 'em in that one. So it's going to be a close game. We'll see how it plays out. I like UMass. I know it's an 11-1 team, and I think that's a trap line again. But everybody told me last night Arizona State was a trap line. But guess what? They won outright despite coming out in that second half and playing absolutely terrible. But let's go to Al before we get to our last leg of our parlay. Let's talk about Al. Memphis, Alabama. Opinion on this, quite honestly, Al, I didn't look at this one too much. I didn't dive into it, but I do handicap all the games. So let me just pull up my spreadsheet and see what I handicap this one as, and let me see what the spread is. So at the moment, the spread, what are we looking at? We're looking at Memphis plus 7.5, Alabama minus 7.5, and I had it much closer than that. I actually had it at 3.5. So if I'm leaning one way, I actually think Memphis plus 7.5 is good there. And I had it a little bit. It's over 152.5. So I don't know how you want to bet that. Maybe a quarter of a unit on the money line if you think if Memphis has a shot at winning that. But I do like the 7.5 there. I don't like laying the favorite. I know Alabama at home could be a strong team there, but I definitely like the Memphis at the 7.5. Andy, what's up, buddy? Andy likes Russell Westbrook double and turnovers and bricked shots. That's awesome, man. Yeah, Russell Westbrook is really taking a turn in how he has been seen, right, in sports. But no, so Al, yeah, I think the 7.5 would be a lean there for me. Obviously, we didn't bet it, but yeah, I think I like the away team there taking the points. We do have one more pick here in our 6-pack parlay today, but it isn't for tonight. It's kind of a small slate all around everywhere, and we're not one to force picks. But we did want to put a 6-game in, and it is going to be for tomorrow, and it's going to be in the World Cup. It's France and Morocco. It's the second semifinal of the World Cup, as the winner is going to face off against Argentina and Messi on Sunday morning. Just a reminder, you can find the live stream of us doing it tomorrow at 1:45 p.m. right here on YouTube. Listen, in games that actually mattered to France in this World Cup, they're averaging 3 goals per game. Remember, they did not need a result at all over Tunisia, and they ended up losing 1-0. But in every other game, they're averaging 3 goals per game. They also have conceded in every single match at least 1 goal. Morocco, on the other hand, has won their matches for the most part with great defense, and they have scored a goal in every game within regulation, with the exception of their round of 16 match against Spain, where they won in PKs. Now, both of these teams, they are going to put the ball in the net most likely, but France is a shark in the water in this Final Four, and I think they smell blood and another World Cup championship. Look for the French to use the same tactics from that England match to get out early on the Moroccan side, and for this game to go over 2.5 goals rather easily. So that is going to be our last pick of our 6-pack parlay. We like the over, and you can, again, find that at plus money at plus 116. Al, your other question is about Mississippi State-Illinois game. Line was 1.5. How do you think that the unfortunate death of Mike Leach affects that line game? That's interesting, Al, because we kind of saw something similar, right? We kind of saw something similar in the Texas and the Rice game last night, and now it wasn't death, but it was the arrest of the Texas coach in college basketball. He ends up going, and I think they struggled with Rice. Did they end up losing that? I was going to look back real quick. Let me look back. I don't want to say anything wrong, but no, they ended up winning by 6 in overtime. But the whole game, Rice was right there, and they obviously don't cover. Here's what I think. I think with situations like last night where Texas, quite honestly, is going to be in a situation where it's a difficult situation to handle as a kid. Your coach just gets arrested, and it's a negative atmosphere. I think that Mississippi State in this situation is maybe going to come out, and they're going to have probably a little bit more of what do you call it? I'm not. By the way, I'm also. I just want to clarify. I'm not talking. What do you call it? Basketball. I'm talking football. So, anyways, I just want to clarify that before it was misconstrued. But yeah, definitely, I think that what do you call it? I do think that with death, there's a difference of how do I put it? With death, I think people play up, and with bad situations like arresting, I think people play down. Right? That's how I see that. I really do think that when there's a situation where there's death or there's emotion involved in it, I do think that people are going to look at it and the athletes are going to step up. Take the Brett Favre situation, right? What's the Brett Favre situation? His dad died. He went out and he played that game. It was motivation. Thank you, Al. The motivation, I think, is there. Now, I guess my question is, the question Al had is, how does it affect the line? Well, because what I'm trying to get out, but very poorly, is the motivation with Mississippi State. Quite honestly, I think that it's going to go more towards Mississippi State. Now, a lot of that also is going to have, some players going to sit, and more of that stuff can come out up until the game. But I do think the motivation is going to be there. And if players were thinking about sitting out, maybe they don't in honor of Leach in the death. And it was a very sad death. And if you don't know, that's why Mississippi State is probably trending on your social media. I think he had something a heart failure. He's had a little bit of issues, but unfortunately he did pass this morning. So I do think it might go in terms of Mississippi State. At the same time, it depends on how the coaching staff is behind him. If somebody can step in and bring his legacy to an end in a good way, that's fine. But if you have somebody like, and I always hate to compare people to Kevin Stefanski, but if you have Kevin Stefanski who doesn't know what he's doing on a weekly basis and he doesn't prepare the kids for the game well, Illinois personally didn't have a great season, but I think there were signs of flashes there. So I don't know. I forget what day that game is, but there's going to be more eyes on that game for sure because of the situation. So I know that was a long time to land that airplane, but I do think it's going to go towards Mississippi State. So, all right, real quick, just to recap everything for our six-pack parlay here, guys. Number one, NBA prop bet is going to be Valanciunas over 14.5 points. Mikal Bridges over 17.5 points. Russell Westbrook, you can find it, I think, at some places 5.5 rebounds. Personally, I take the 6.5 at the plus money for sure. In the NHL, we're going Edmonton, Nashville over 6.5 goals. Then we have UMass Lowell minus 1.5 points. It might close at 1. And then finally, tomorrow, World Cup, France, Morocco, over 2.5 goals. Now, here's the cool thing. Remember I said, bet these individually. Do not bet these, put a whole unit on this parlay. Bet them as a unit individually, and then put like 0.33 of a unit on the parlay. If, let's say, 0.33 was equal to $10, that would actually pay out $660 if all 6 of those were to hit tonight. A reminder before we sign off that if you are looking at every other play that we actually bet, remember, these are just fun bets that we're doing with this. We don't suggest ever throw in a ton of money on these. These are leans more than anything. But if you're looking for the bets that we put on our card every single day, head on over to grandstandbettors.com, become part of our family. Or if you're just looking to maybe come in and check it out, head on over to Patreon at Grandstand Bettors. The link's below in the description. We give out 1 or 2 plays off the card daily, and it'll cost you less than 25 cents a day. If anybody else has any other questions, please always feel free to email us. Looking forward to tonight's action. Remember that UMass game starts in about 20 minutes or so. Al, thank you for the questions. Sports betting chick, appreciate you hopping on. Andy, thanks for stopping in. That's it, man. That's it. That's all we have here. Good luck. Let's hit a 6-pack parlay at plus 6,600 tonight. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? So, guys, have a great night, and we will see you next time.